Saint Francis of Assisi, the saint who embraced poverty, peace, and the leper. 1. Early life, a son of privilege. Francis was born in 1181 or 1182 in the small Italian town of Assisi, into a world divided by wealth and war. His baptismal name was Giovanni di Pietro di Bernard I, but his father, a wealthy cloth merchant, nicknamed him Francesco, meaning the Frenchman, possibly due to his love of all things French or due to trade ties with France. Francis grew up in luxury. He wore fine clothes, feasted lavishly, sang and danced, and was known for his charm and generosity. He dreamed of becoming a knight, not a spiritual warrior, but a chivalric one, earning fame and honor on the battlefield. He joined a military expedition against the nearby city of Perugia, but was captured and imprisoned for a year. That experience broke something in him. On his return to Assisi, Francis was quieter. He fell ill. He began to question his life, the emptiness of worldly success, and the injustice around him. Slowly, the spirit began its quiet revolution within his heart. 2. The encounter that changed everything, the leper. Francis had always feared and despised lepers, symbols of decay and impurity in medieval society. One day, while riding near Assisi, he encountered a leper on the road. Normally, he would have turned away in horror, but something compelled him to stop. He dismounted, embraced the man, and kissed his wounded hand. As he rode away, filled with trembling, he turned around, and the leper had vanished. Francis would later say it was not a man he embraced, but Christ himself in disguise. This moment was the pivot of his conversion. He began to live differently, pray more deeply, seek solitude, and give away his wealth. 3. A radical break, renouncing the world. One day, while praying in the dilapidated chapel of San Damiano, Francis heard Christ speak from the crucifix. "Francis, go and rebuild my church, which you see is falling into ruin." Taking the message literally at first, Francis sold cloth from his father's shop to fund repairs. His father, furious, dragged him before the Bishop of Assisi. There, in a dramatic act of renunciation, Francis stripped naked in the public square and returned everything to his father, declaring, "From now on, I will say only, 'Our Father who art in heaven.'" He left the city barefoot and poor, a pilgrim for God, committed to rebuilding not only stone chapels, but the broken spiritual life of the church itself. 4. Living the gospel, simplicity, poverty, and joy. Francis began preaching in the countryside, not theology, but the gospel of simplicity, repentance, love, and joy. He begged for stones to rebuild ruined churches like San Damiano, Portiuncula, and San Pietro. Others joined him, peasants, former soldiers, even nobles. They formed a new kind of community, one that lived with no possessions, relied on daily alms, worked with their hands, and treated every living creature with reverence. In 1209, Francis wrote a simple rule of life, largely direct quotes from the Gospels, and traveled to Rome to seek approval from Pope Innocent III. The Pope, initially skeptical, reportedly had a dream of the poor man holding up the crumbling church. He blessed the order. The Franciscan order was born. 5. Love for nature and all creation. Francis believed every creature bore the fingerprint of its creator. He called animals his brothers and sisters, preached to birds, negotiated peace with a ferocious wolf, and composed the Canticle of the Creatures, one of the first known works of literature in the Italian language. Brother sun, sister moon, brother wind, sister water. He did not romanticize nature, but saw it as sacred. To Francis, the natural world was not below humanity. It was part of a shared, holy family. 6. Suffering and the stigmata. In the later years of his life, Francis retreated more often into solitude and prayer. His body, once energetic, was now broken by years of fasting, poverty, and illness. But his soul was burning brighter than ever. In 1224, while praying in a cave on Mount La Verna, he received a mystical vision of the crucified Christ as a seraph, and when the vision ended, he bore the wounds of Christ on his hands, feet, and side. This was the first recorded instance of stigmata in Christian history. Francis hid the wounds from others, but those close to him saw his suffering, and his radiant joy amidst the pain. 7. Death and canonization. Blind, weak, and nearly dying, Francis asked to be laid naked on the ground at the end of his life, to die in complete poverty. He sang psalms and blessed his brothers with peace. He died on October 3, 1226, at the age of 44, lying on the bare earth outside Assisi. Only 2 years later, in 1228, he was canonized by Pope Gregory IX. His tomb became a site of pilgrimage, and his legacy spread across the world. 8. Legacy, a saint for all people. Saint Francis is the patron saint of animals, ecology, and peace. His message continues to inspire people of all faiths and no faith at all. The Franciscan order remains one of the largest in the Catholic Church. In 2013, Pope Francis chose his name to signal a return to humility and care for the poor. In today's world of consumerism, war, and climate crisis, Francis's radical simplicity and love for all creation feel more urgent than ever. Final words. Saint Francis of Assisi was not born a saint. He was a spoiled rich boy, a war prisoner, a sinner like us all. But when he finally looked into the eyes of the leper, he saw God, and from that moment, he gave everything to love him. He didn't just preach the gospel. He became the gospel. And 800 years later, the world still remembers the barefoot man from Assisi, the one who kissed the leper, called the sun his brother, and lived with joy in the arms of holy poverty.